United States, but we're super glad to have you. All right. Well, Zach, I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to you. It looks like we've got everybody in the room.
Thank you so much, Rebecca and Shola and everyone for joining. Good morning for those of you, it's still morning, and afternoon for those of you that is in the afternoon. And welcome to our webinar on the newly redesigned PhET activities database. And my name is Zach Mbasu. I am the African PhET ambassador, and I'm also joined in by my colleagues, Rebecca and Shola, who will be in the call helping with the webinar. So I'll begin by sharing my screen. Okay, great. Yeah. So today we will be going deep into how to access and use the updated activities database so that you can enhance your math and science teaching. So we are excited that you are going to learn to navigate the new database, find activities for your lessons, and also find activities that really speak to your needs and the needs of your students, and also maybe even contribute lessons and activities just like the other educators have done. So these are objectives for today. And for today, you learn about how to navigate the database to find relevant lesson plans and lesson activities and worksheets. We will also look at strategies for filtering and identifying materials that align to specific content and maybe specific methodologies that we advocate for. And lastly, we will give you a walkthrough on how to contribute and review activities within the PhET website, and see how you can be involved and be part of the community that is developing these activities so that other educators can be able to use the PhET simulations. But first, I'll do a small introduction about PhET. So PhET simulations are really designed to help students to learn science and math in a very interactive, engaging, and fun way. And PhET was founded by Professor Carl Wieman. Professor Carl Wieman won a Nobel Prize in the year 2001, and he dedicated his resources to developing PhET simulations, and he founded PhET simulations in the year 2002. And since then, we have continued to develop PhET simulations, not just in physics, but also in chemistry, in math, and across the different learning academic levels. So PhET is really based at University of Colorado, Department of Physics, but we are developing the PhET simulations across the different STEM subjects spectrum. If you have interacted with the PhET simulations, you'll agree with me that these are really, really powerful tools for STEM education, for teachers to use, educators to use, but also for learners to really engage with them. They are really designed to be very fun, game-like environment, engaging, and students can, pick a variable and, click and move it around, manipulate the elements within the simulation and see what changes are happening and be able to come up with the conclusions. Think about, for example, the simulation on circuits. Like, students are able to not just read about how electricity flows, but they can build circuits. They can take, a power source. They can take conducting wires, put them together with switches, change the components, and see how current is able to flow through the different circuits that formed. They are also designed to support students' engagement, to understand abstract concepts, because the learners are not just passively receiving information, they are actively involved in constructing their own knowledge and their own experiments. And also, the simulations really help the learners to learn through exploration. As you know, they try different ways, they experiment, they test different things and discover the concepts that they are learning for themselves. So the goal of PhET is really to make learning of math and science, learn by doing, instead of just by really hearing. We have over 170 simulations. Again, as I mentioned, we have simulations in math, we have simulations in chemistry, in physics, in biology, and these simulations range from very low academic levels like elementary school, middle school, primary schools, secondary schools, all the way to higher learning levels at university level. We also have, this is just a list of our recently published simulations, and I encourage you to explore them if you have not had a chance to see these new simulations that we have developed. Okay, so I would like us to dive right into it, and I have first of all, I have a QR code that you can scan, and it's going to take you directly to the PhET simulations. But then I have a question for you, and you can drop your response in the chat box. And the question is, if you wanted to find activities that are designed for a particular sim, where would you look for it? You open a simulation, and then you want to look at activities that have either been developed by PhET staff, or activities that have been developed by other teachers. Do you have any thoughts on where you would look for these activities? You can drop your response in the chat. There's a link also to that QR code that has been put in the chat. But I would like you to just take a few seconds and think about, like, if you really wanted to find activities that are associated with a particular PhET simulation, or a simulation of your choice, and you wanted to get an inspiration from another teacher, or you want to see what activities have been developed by PhET staff that are related to this PhET simulation. Where would you find these activities to use with that PhET simulation? Please type in the chat. Oh, great. So we have one response, two response. One from Vincent says under online activity link. And then we also have Lehotla. I hope I pronounce your name well. It says, I will find them under activities, activities heading. And then Lucian Talu says, when you open the simulation, we have an activity. Okay, great. So when you open the simulation, any simulation, you are going to find the simulation page. And this is how, for example, for the density simulation, this is how that simulation page is going to look like. And you're going to have different tabs. You're going to have an About tab, and then you have Teaching Resources, and then you have Activities, and we have something new called Presets, and then we have Translations, and then we have Credit. So using any simulation page, you're going to find these particularly 4 elements. And the About section really gives you an idea of what this simulation is about. what topics you can use to cover this simulation, for example. And then we also have the teaching resources. This is where you find the teacher tips, for example. And then there is the activities, where when you click on it, you'll find a list of activities that have been developed by PhET staff, or they have been developed by other educators who have used the simulation and have uploaded it on the PhET simulation. And that is exactly where you find the activities. Now, I have mentioned that from the about, you're going to find this particular tab called teaching resources. And that tab has got a very useful resource that we call a teacher tip. And a teacher tip is a very important document. It is an explainer document that is created for each simulation that is developed. So the teacher tip is developed by PhET itself. And as you can see in the example that is displayed on the screen, the teacher tips provide a screen breakdown giving you a guided tour of the SIMS interface, as you can see. And the teacher tips also offers insights into student use of that simulation, helping you anticipate, for example, what are the common misconceptions or the challenges that students might encounter. And also under that teacher tip, the teacher tips will provide suggestions for use with that simulation. So for example, for this particular one, you'll find like a list of suggestions of what ideas on how to incorporate the sim into different lesson plans and lesson activities. So the teacher tips is found on each and every PhET simulation that has been developed. And then the other thing that you're going to find is the translation tab. And our sims are translated into very many languages, over 100 languages, that have been verified by educators across the globe. And the reason why we do this is because we want to remove the language barrier, so that anyone can access these high quality PhET resources wherever they are, and in as much as possible in a language that they also understand. And also we don't just translate the simulations, but we also translate the teacher tips so that we can ensure that we are providing a comprehensive support in multiple languages. And then there is the activities database itself. And this is like the core of this webinar today. And the activities database really offers a collection of activities for each simulation, including activities that have been made by PhET staff members, and also the massive, huge community that usually develops activities, lessons to be used with this PhET simulation. So when you click on the activities, you are going to see a whole list of different activities and lesson plans that have been developed by different groups of people. And the reason why this database is important is to help you find ready-to-use lesson plans, ready-to-use worksheets, and other materials. For some lessons, you can decide to just use it the way it is. And for other lessons, you might find that actually adapting it and suiting it to your students' needs will be really helpful. In addition to the plans and activities, the activities page comes with powerful filters that allow you to really like narrow down to your options and find exactly the activity that you need or the lesson that you need, so that you can be able to use it. And those filters, you can see we have, a subject level filter. We have grade level filter. You can filter by activity type, the setting. You can also filter by duration. And also, you can go to the locale and try to identify simulations that have been translated in a particular language. Okay. Again, the activity, the the activity, I want to also give you an opportunity to go to the activities page and try doing the following things. So one, when you go to the activities page, you'll find a very long list of activities that are related to that particular PhET simulation. So the question is then, how do you really narrow down your options with the so many activities that are available? You might start wondering, where do I start from to navigate and choose the right simulation, the right activity for what you really need. Then again, once you find the activity, I would like you to also figure out how would you preview an activity? Because yes, you might look at the title of the activity, but then you want to just have a snippet of that activity and see, oh, is it the right one for my lesson or not? So how would you preview that activity? And then the last question is, when you find an activity that you like, how do you go about keeping it for future? Because you also don't want to maybe spend time again searching for it and narrowing it down. You want to be able to keep it somewhere so that you can be able to reuse it. So I'll give you time to go to a simulation. You can try and scan that page, that QR code for that particular simulation, and then try to see how do you narrow down your options. You can type in the chat box. How would you preview an activity? And also, when you find an activity, how would you go about saving that activity or keeping it for future use? So I'll give you a minute to just try it out, and then you can type in the chat box on exactly one, how you narrow down your activity options. Secondly, how would you preview an activity? And third, when you find an activity, how do you keep it for future use? Please remember to type in the chat box. How do you think you would narrow down your options if you find a list of so many activities? The link to the QR code is also dropped in the chat box. So if you're not able to scan the QR code, you can use the link in the chat box and try to figure out how do you narrow down your options for the activities. And then secondly, how would you preview an activity to get an idea of what that activity is about? And lastly, when you find that activity, how do you save it? How do you keep it for future use? If you have ideas to any of those questions, please feel free to drop it in the chat box. Okay, 20 seconds. Yeah, so when you get to the activities landing page, you'll find that there are so many activities that are on that landing page. So how do you narrow down to the option that you want.
Zach, we have a
Uh,
response from Lucian.
yes, thank you so much, Talu. Uh, Talu says we have a search space for the specification. That's one. And then two, she says we have an open preview activity button. And then three, she says bookmark. So bookmarking it on our website so that you can always easily get it. So thank you so much, Talu, for that response. Great. So we will take a closer look at a page, for example. So when you open a page, you'll find that there are features and functionalities of that activities page. So more feedback coming in. Ross Ntende says pull down menu of activity and choose type, then click on setting and choose. Download activity from Lehotla. Esther Diera says use filters such as subject, grade level, and also click on the activity title, description, view, and see if it aligns with your needs. Thank you so much. So great. So first, when you open, you will see that there is always the title of the activity, and the title will give you a clear idea of its focus. And that is one way that can help you to narrow down. And then there is actually something very unique, for example, on what I'm displaying on the screen. There is a gold star that you can be able to see. And what you see in that gold star is actually a gold star quality lesson, which means that this lesson has met high rating by PhET standards. And it indicates that the activity, for example, for this particular one, it indicates that the activity was created by a member of the PhET team, which assures you of its quality and alignment with with our PhET principles. You'll find that also we have some other activities that are not developed by PhET team members, but they have gold stars. So I just wanted to highlight that it can, help you to at least identify, like the title of that activity. Then just below the title, you are going to see like a subtitles that provides further context of that simulation. I mean, that activity. And this will include, for example, the topic covered by that activity. And this helps you to quickly identify it's relevant to your curriculum, for example. So for example, for this one, you can see the topics are, Kepler, orbits, and astronomy. And then below it, you'll also see the specific PhET simulation that the activity uses, which ensures that the activity is compatible with the simulation that you're supposed to use. And it allows you to integrate it seamlessly into your lesson. Then below those subtitles, you will see the activity type filter options. I think this has been mentioned by the feedback in the chat box. So for example, here you can see the grade level. Below it you can see K5, MS, HS, and Uni. And you can see like the grade level is really highlighted in black, and K5 is empty, which gives you ideas like what academic level, what grade level this really covers. And then there is also the subject. So for example, for this one, there are three icons representing the subject. And if you want to see the corresponding subjects, like which icon corresponds to which subject, if you look at the bottom on my bottom left, you can see the first one represents physics, which is like a prism, and there's like a ray of light going through. And then we have a bar chart that represents math and statistics. And then you have like a globe there that really represents Earth space. So for this particular activity covers those three subjects. And then also the other filter level is the activity type. And this allows you to find specific kinds of resources. For example, if it is a discussion prompt, or if it is an interactive lecture demonstration, or if it's a concept question, or if it is just an activity sheet that has been developed. So that filter gives you, the idea of the activity type that is covered by this particular simulation. And then we talked about preview. I think it was Talo who gave feedback about like the preview activity, and you can see this particular icon here that really shows you, like if you click on it, it will open the preview activity that will give you insight into what that activity looks like. And that is going to help you to get insights on what that activity is and then be able to use it. And then we also have this other icon here, and it adds the activity to your bookmark list. Again, this was mentioned by a participant in their feedback. So this allows you to really to bookmark it in your particular bookmark it on your web page, and you can easily access it when you want to use that particular activity. And then again, just beyond the filters that I've shown, the activities database really offers more ways to refine your search. You can find activities written in languages other than English. We have over 1,000 of such activities. You can also filter for these activities that pair with the sims that use inclusive features. We have a lot of inclusive features that we have on our PhET website and the PhET simulations, just to make sure that our learners with special needs have got that access. And so there are more than 1,000 of these activities that you can be able to filter those activities and pair them with the inclusive features that we do have. So we have things like alternative input, voiceover, interactive description. We have pan and zoom that you can be able to use as inclusive features to help learners with special needs. So these filters, particularly inclusive features, demonstrate like how PhET is committed to providing accessible and equitable resources for our learners across the globe. And then so there is it's one thing to just use an activity that has been developed by someone else. But also, we encourage that as an educator, you can be a contributor. You can develop your own activities and then upload them on the PhET website. And then other teachers can get inspiration from, they can learn from those, from your contributions. And so that we continue to grow this community of educators that are always developing activities and learning from one another. So we do have a contribution landing page where you can be able to, I'll show you this in a short while. But we do have a contribution contributor page that you can be able to develop your own activity, and then you're able to upload it, especially for those who are interested in contributing their own activities. And then in addition to that, we provide clear guidelines and an evaluation criteria beforehand, before you upload your activity. And what this QR code, if you scan it, it will take you to to the guidelines and the evaluation criteria. Like when you develop the activity, what is it that you're going to be evaluated against for your activity to be accepted, and then be published on the PhET activities page. So I would like you to explore that self-evaluation rubric and the gold star requirements for you to understand, like, what are the requirements for these high quality activities for it to be a gold star, or for it to be published on the PhET activities webpage. So what I would like you to do, I would like you to go to that particular page. And as you go to that particular self-evaluation rubric, take a moment to think about the questions that are displayed on the screen, and as you go through those requirements. I'll give you about a minute. And the first question is that as you go through all those requirements, tell us what is something you found that didn't surprise you as you look through those that self-evaluation rubric. Secondly, what is something that you did not expect to find on that evaluation rubric? And then the third thing, as you explore through those list of requirements for a gold star, tell us what is it that you see that left you wondering. And you can type in the chat box. You can type in the chat box as you respond to those particular questions as you go through that self-evaluation rubric. Thank you so much. Nchenji says, I have contributed an activity once. This is great. And yes, so a link has also been dropped in the chat that takes you to the self-evaluation rubric. Take time to go through it, and as you go through it, think about, like, what is something you found that didn't surprise you? What is something that you didn't expect to find? And lastly, what did you see that left you wondering? You can type your feedback in the chat box, or we can allow you to also verbalize your thoughts about those questions as you explore that self-evaluation rubric that we use for evaluation and to enable your activity to meet the gold star requirements. So as you go through that self-evaluation rubric, think about these three questions. What is something you found that didn't surprise you? What is something that you didn't expect to find? And lastly, what did you see in that self-evaluation rubric and the gold star requirements that left you wondering? Okay, any feedback from anyone? A response for any of those questions? Is there something that left you wondering from looking at that self-evaluation rubric? Or is there something that you found that did not surprise you? Or is there something that you didn't expect to find? 10 seconds. Please drop your feedback in the chat box. You can also raise up your hand and we will unmute you for you to verbalize your response. As you explore that self-evaluation rubric and the gold star requirements, is there something you found that did not surprise you? Or is there something that you did not expect to find? Or is there something that you wondered about? Okay, we have some feedback. Patrick Dazier says, how do you go to the activity page? Is there a link to that? Very good question. I will be able to address that. Okay, great. So let's carry on. I'll come back to the PhET website and just practically do it, so that we can see how you can go to the activity page. Do we have anyone who would like to verbalize their feedback? Luciana Lechota says, not surprised that it requires active learning, and inquiry based. Great. Great. Okay. So let's carry on and then I'll come back to the PhET website to show you exactly how to go to the activity page. Okay. Now, why should you contribute? There's many benefits of contributing. So one is really that as soon as you develop your activity and you submit it, the activity gets evaluated in a peer review process with teachers from all over the world. And this evaluation process, you get feedback, and that helps you to identify how your activity can be improved. So if let's say you have a lesson plan, you upload it, someone else will do a review and then give feedback and give you suggestions on how that could be improved. The other reason on why you should contribute is that if your activity is accepted for publication, of course, it will be published on our PhET website and it will be available for anyone, any educator across the world to be able to use it or adapt it or learn from it. And in addition to that, you will actually have access to information on how many people, for example, are bookmarking it or are using it or have downloaded that activity. And then also PhET is recognized for creating high quality resources and making science and math accessible to everyone. And so like being part of that, it's something that you should really be proud. Again, you can request for a certificate as a PhET activity author for each of your submission, and we'll be able to develop a certificate for you. And we can also like promote your activity during our promotions. And then lastly, you become part of the PhET educators community. PhET has got a huge community across the globe. So you may not interact directly with those authors. However, teachers use your activities. You're sharing your activity outside your school, your institution, and you're simply enabling broader knowledge and experience exchange. And so we encourage you that you also become an active contributor, member of this PhET educator community by developing activities and submitting them for publication. Okay, so how do you contribute? In order to contribute, one important thing that you need to do is you need to create a PhET account, which is free. So remember, learners can only access the simulations, but as a teacher, as an educator, you have an opportunity to create a PhET account, a free PhET account on our PhET website. And when you create that account, then you have access to all these resources and tools that could really be very helpful to you as a teacher. So first, you need to have an account, a teacher account, and then when you log into that teacher account, when you go to the teaching menu, you'll select contribute an activity, and then you enter the required information about the activity. I'll show you in a short while. And then you type in the required information about your activity, providing clear and detailed descriptions. And then as soon as you're done with that, you'll submit it, and then you'll wait for your status while it undergoes the evaluation process that we have mentioned. Then after submission, of course, you receive an email from PhET with feedback and updates on the status of your community. And this feedback is what I mentioned before, that this is really valuable feedback that can help you refine your activity and ensure its quality. And then finally, of course, in addition to the activities, we also have professional development opportunities to help you like improve your skills, learn more, gain more knowledge, or not just the PhET simulations, but also the strategies that we advocate for. And we have, self-paced courses on Coursera that allow you to learn at your own pace, at your own convenience. And these opportunities are a great way to really learn and improve your knowledge on using the PhET simulations, learn new effective teaching strategies. And these strategies can also be transferred in using other resources apart from the PhET simulations. Okay, great. So I am going to go to the PhET website and show you a few things that we've talked through, and then we will look at the questions that you have. So let me stop sharing my screen and then open the PhET website. Open the PhET website. The PhET website and share screen, share. Okay, great. So of course, this is the PhET website. You can see this is where you get the simulations basically, and there are different ways that you can access the new the updated activities page. And one way of doing this is when you look at these tabs here. Let me make it a little bit bigger so that you can be able to see. We have simulations, we have studio, we have then we have the teaching tab. And when you go to this teaching tab, you can see activities. So this is where like you can find the activities that we were talking about. Is one way of finding the activities. And you can see here, there is a general categorization of those activities. Are you looking for physics activities, math activities, chemistry activities, blah, blah, blah. And then you can also, like in this search box, you can just quickly search for, a topic. So for example, you can type here fractions, for example. And then now you can see activities that are related to fractions. So that's one way of finding the activities. The other way of finding the activities is you go to a particular simulation, for example. Let me go, for example, to the math and statistics simulation. And then I'm going to select a simulation. Let's say graphing quadratics. When I select graphing quadratics, it's going to take me to the simulation page. And these are the tabs that I was talking about, the About tab that has got topics, sample learning goals, and so forth. We have teaching resources. And in these teaching resources, I talked about the teacher tips. So I'm not going to really repeat about it. But you see, this is an example of the teacher tip. And then below, for example, for this one, you have like alignment documents. And then the activities, you go to this third tab here, activities. So when you go to these activities, again, you can see you have 15 results. You have filters on the extreme left. You can select by grade level, by activity level, by setting. For example, do you want to use it in a whole class, or do you want to use it in a small group, lab setup? Is it an online, remote learning, and so forth? The duration, here you can see, do you want an activity that is 30 minutes, an activity that is 60 minutes, an activity that is 90 minutes, or more than 90 minutes? Again, you can also filter by the different languages. And of course, you can also filter by approval. Do you want, a gold star PhET activity, or do you want an activity from PhET? And then here you see the list of activities. For example, here you can see the title, you can see the subtitles, and down here you can see the filters, the grade level. For example, this one is a high school activity. The subject here, this is math and statistics activity type. When you click on it, it will give you the details. The setting, this is particularly for small group setting. And then, the duration here, it says 60 minutes. And then if you want to do a preview, you just click on this particular icon, and then you can see this is a preview of this activity. You can see this is a worksheet, starts with a worksheet, has a learning goal, has like, like prompts that you can ask learners to do the exploration. And basically the questions that the learners are going to go through as they explore the PhET simulation. And then down here, it's an associated lesson plan that goes with that activity sheet. So that gives you just a preview of what that activity is about. Then quickly, this is the contribution. So before coming to the contributions, okay. So this is the contributions guidelines and requirements for you to be able to contribute. So for example, these are the minimum requirements: that your activity that you're submitting, it must make substantial use of a PhET sim as the primary learning tool. Of course, it has to be mathematically correct, scientifically correct. For it to be useful, it has to be original. We discourage plagiarism. We will not approve any plagiarized content. And then we have requirements for a gold star, and I'm sure you went through this. I'm just quickly rushing through this so that I can be able to address some of the questions that have been put in the Q&A section. And then, of course, we have frequently asked questions that you can be able to read through, like, what are the questions that are being asked by the users. Then I'll go back on this page to just show you how you can be able to contribute an activity. Let me go back to the beginning. So when you go to the PhET website and you are logged in, when you are logged in, you'll see this icon here is active. You can check your bookmarks and your contributions and so forth. But in order for you to contribute an activity, you come to this teaching page. We have activities that we went to, but just right below it, we have contribute an activity. And when you click on it, it's going to open this page that has this information. You make sure that you include the author's name, your email address. You can choose whether to display that email address or hide it. And then we have other details that you need to describe. You upload the file itself here, and that file can be in any of these formats that has been listed here. And then down here, you have to write the title of your activity. If it's a URL, you can add the link there, and then include the teachers, supports. You want them to know whether it's a lesson plan. You want to also include the answers. And then we have information that you need to also provide. For example, the activity title that enables others to quickly search and narrow down. You have to include the topic, for example, that you want your activity to cover. You have to include also the learning goal. So the learning goal, if you have one learning goal, you just type. If you have several, you make sure that you add them here so that they are included in the activity. And then the activity description, and then the simulation that you're using, of course, and then of course you're going to select the categories that you want to use. Let me pause there and check for questions in the Q&A section, and also comments in the section. So Nche says, please remind me the procedure to download PhET sims for purpose of offline use. Great question. Let me show you how to do that. I'll go back to the PhET website so that we start from scratch. There are basically 3 ways that you can have PhET sims for offline use. The first way is you go to the PhET website. You go at the bottom of this PhET website. At the very bottom, let me make it bigger. You'll find these links down here at the very end. And after, just below accessibility, you have offline access. When you click on offline access, this is going to take you to a different window that has got a place where you can download the PhET installer, the desktop app installer that allows you to download the installer, install it on your Windows computer or your Mac computer. And then once you install it, you'll have all the simulations, all the HTML simulations on your computer, and you can be able to use them without needing the internet. The second way that you can get simulations for offline use is through, we have an Android app. And when you go to Google Play Store, you can search for PhET app, and then you can download that app and then install it on your tablet or your phone, and then you can access it without needing the internet. The third way to access the PhET simulation offline is by going to a very specific PhET simulation. So for example, let me just open the simulations page, and then we select one simulation. Let's say buoyancy. This is one of our new simulations. When you open the simulation itself, there is this, let me make it bigger. So this buoyancy basics. When you open it, you see this arrow here, down here, this arrow here. When you click on it, it actually downloads. It downloads that HTML files for that particular simulation, and then you can be able to access that simulation offline. So those are the 3 ways that you can be able to access the PhET simulations offline. Great. Let me check again to see if we have other questions related to this. Okay.
I think I got everything else, Zach. I don't think there was anything super like general for the whole group.
Okay, great. Great. So do we have someone else with questions related to probably navigating this updated activity database from PhET?
Not saying anything at this point. I do know a number of people are trying to register, which is great. Patrick has a few questions about emails. Patrick, I'm going to give you an email. I would like you to write to PhET help. You won't be able to, you won't get a response until Monday, but if anybody does experience any troubles with registration, you should write to PhET-help.
Okay,
We do have a
great.
question in the chat about what if I have more questions? Zach, who do you think they should contact?
Okay, great. So I am displaying on screen important in information. So first is the website. That's like you can get us on that particular website. It has been shared. And then, of course, you can write to us. Rebecca, if you can drop the email address in the chat box, you can always write to us. And also you can, like put your question on social media. We're always like on top of that, looking for like any comments or questions that come our way so that we can be able to address them. So feel free to write to us and reach us through social media as well. And also the email address that is provided, and we are more than happy to help. Okay, great. So we are at the top of the hour, and we have covered a lot today, and I hope you are excited to start using the new activities database like I am. And we are happy to answer any questions. If you get stuck, please reach us through that email address. And also remember to follow us. Our social media handle is at PhETSIMS. And remember to also contribute. In addition to using the existing activities, please make sure that you also contribute. Great. So Tesfaye says, is there a chance I can receive the PowerPoint or any document for this session? Yes. Happy to send you. So thank you so much. Thank you for taking time off your weekend to spare an hour and just come to learn and share with us. We really appreciate you so much. So thank you. Thank you, Elvis. Thank you, Jeanette. Arul, thank you. Nche, thank you so much. Enjoy your weekend.